Good morning, and welcome to the Black Mesa Transit System. This automated train is provided for the security and convenience of the Black Mesa
Ladies and gentlemen,
facility personnel.
Half-Life.
The time is 8:47 a.m. Current topside
Kelly Bailey,
is
down there in the corner. He's the composer.
with an estimated high of 100.
So this is continuing off from my video I did for. There are no doors to those offices. Continuing off to the video I did of Half-Life Uplink, the demo, which was its own little adventure and not part of the full game. Later on, there was another demo release called Half-Life Day 1, which was just the first part of the full game. It actually was this whole section. But Uplink was its own little adventure, and I had a lot of fun revisiting that. I had played it in wake of the release of the news, the recent news of Mark Laidlaw, who left Valve Software, the developers of Half-Life. He left Valve Software 18 months ago and released what he called Epistle 3, his story layout with characters gender swapped and names changed around of Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which pretty much put the last nail in the coffin for the Half-Life series, at least as far as I'm concerned. If they continue on with Half-Life after this, without dealing with what happened at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, well, that's just unforgivable. And since Mark Laidlaw released basically his simple outline, undeveloped but a good solid framework for Episode 3, which obviously Valve won't use, because everyone knows the ending. If they do something else and ignore what Mark Laidlaw wrote, the original writer who created the story arc and was wanting to finish it and wouldn't be allowed by Valve, then, well, they'll just get a bunch of hateful fans. So I think this is it for Half-Life. If they do another Half-Life game, it'll be far in the future, and they'll just ignore what happened with the episodes and go on to something different. Maybe they'll reboot it. I don't know. But, yeah, so anyway, I enjoyed playing Uplink again, and I wanted to revisit the whole series in honor of the passing of Half-Life. Basically happened 18 months ago, but can finally accept it now that we have closure of the storyline, the story arc, and just go through the whole original game. And then, who knows, maybe I'll get to the expansions, maybe I'll get to Half-Life 2, maybe I'll get to the episodes, and then we'll relive the horror and the pain all over again. I explained a little bit my introduction to this game in my Half-Life Uplink video, so I won't repeat too much of it here, but suffice to say, I was always a shooter fan, first-person shooter fan before Half-Life, before I knew it existed. I had played Duke Nukem 3, Dune, Wolfenstein, Dark Forces, Star Wars Dark Forces, even Jedi Knight. No, did I know about Jedi Knight? I'm trying to remember. Before I knew about Half-Life. I don't think so. I knew about Quake and Quake 2, but I didn't play them because well, I just I didn't have the money to buy them. But a friend of mine introduced to me Half-Life, and that just changed my life. Bought my own copy, and experienced a wealth of mods which just brought endless gameplay to the table for Half-Life. Like, you bought Half-Life, you bought a ton of games, fan-made and otherwise. Counter-Strike, the counter-terrorist, team-based multiplayer shooter, was a fan mod for Half-Life. And then Valve Software hired the developer, Gooseman, which was his online handle at the time, And then they sold it as a retail product in stores, Counter-Strike. And then it got a sequel, Counter-Strike Source, when Half-Life 2 was released. And it got a single-player release by... Who was it, by Ritual or Gearbox? I think it was Ritual. I can't remember. A kind of single-player Counter-Strike game, which apparently wasn't very good. I hadn't played it. And then now we got CSGO, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Global Offensive, Global Operative, CSGO. And that's huge right now. Same thing with the original Team Fortress was it Quake 1 or Quake 2 mod? Quake 1, I think. Team Fortress, and then they made it a mod for Half-Life, and then Valve hired those people, and they turned Team Fortress, which was just some fan-made mod, into one of their biggest IPs, and now we have Team Fortress 2, which is still played to this day, ever since the Orange Box was released. And Team Fortress 2 was in development for a long time. So what I'm getting at is, there's a lot of that came on board with Half-Life when you bought it. Not just the single-player story, which was big in itself. Shut that door. There you go. Yeah, the single-player game was good on its own, but... with everything else that it added to the table, it was quite the package deal.
Hey, Mr. Freeman. I had a bunch of messages for you, but we had a system crash about 20 minutes ago, and I'm still trying to find my files. Just
one of those days, I guess.
They were having some problems down in the test chamber, too, but I think that's all straightened out. They told me to make sure you headed down there as soon as you got into your hazard suit.
I remember this. Interactivity.
Get away from there, Freeman. I'm expecting an important message.
So cool. This kind of stuff, I said it in the other video, wasn't around back then in other shooters. Like maybe you'd push a button and like you flip a light switch and the lights would come on in a bathroom for Duke Nukem, and that freaked everybody out. And maybe you push a button and it would operate a microwave or something. And but this, like people would talk to you and react to you based on what you did. And gee, man. My employers don't agree. You can kind of hear through the door. That's all I could make out. All I can make out is my employers don't agree.
Speed scenario we discussed? Positively.
We'll be seeing this room again.
You got the wrong airlock, Mr. Freeman. You know I can leave.
Also, I'm playing without the HD model pack, which was made by Gearbox Software. When Blue Shift was released, an expansion for Half-Life, added a high-definition model pack replacement, which you could play through Opposing Force, Blue Shift, and the original Half-Life, with higher detail models, higher polygon models, better textures, not textures in the world, but on the models. Changed some of the weapons around.
The sample was just delivered to the test chamber.
And changed some sounds too, and but I'm playing without it at the moment. I'm not even playing the Steam version of this. I'm playing the original Game of the Year CD release. So this is Half-Life version 1.1.0.6, 1106.
That's odd. My God, what are you doing?
I'll hear about that later on. Keep that in mind. Not in this game, but in the future.
This is all within theoretical limits.
Except for that shoe.
Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties?
Freeman. I can't pick that up yet.
Welcome to the HEV Mark IV protective system.
That music, though.
I wonder if
I hope that music's not too loud. I hope the game volume is not too loud. I'll check that after I record this video and fix it appropriately for future episodes if it's too loud.
We're right on through, sir. Looks like you're in the barrel today.
Ah, hello, Gordon Freeman. It's good to see you.
One thing about the, we'll call it the WON version, WON, it stands for World Opponent Network. That's what the original CR released retail version of Half-Life was made with. As far as connecting to servers for multiplayer, it uses the WON network, the World Opponent Network. It was called. So this version of Half-Life is affectionately called Half-Life 1, WON, as opposed to Half-Life Steam, which is the Steam version, which uses obviously Valve's Steam servers for multiplayer. It has a completely different menu, system menu, which I think is less cool than this one. I can't exit and show you, or else it'll screw up my video recording because it's in a different resolution.
Greetings.
Because I'm playing with NVIDIA Shadowplay, or Share UI as it's now called, I guess. So, as a result, it's not widescreen, but hey, we're kicking it retro. That's what it's all about, right? Control room. Here we are.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Gordon, here you are. We just sent the sample down to the test chamber.
We've boosted the anti-mass spectrometer to 105%. Bit of a gamble, but we need the extra resolution.
The administrator is very concerned that we get a conclusive analysis of today's sample. I gather they went to some lengths to get it.
They're waiting for you, Gordon, in the test chamber.
Wrong voice. He had the low voice. You had the high voice. Little mistake.
Are you 100% sure that theory of yours is correct?
I want to hear the response to this. No response. Instilling a lot of confidence, guys.
It's about to go critical.
What the hell is going on with our equipment?
It wasn't meant to do this in the first place.
So canonically, retroactively, they retconned these two characters to be from Half-Life 2, Eli Vance, this guy here, and Isaac Kleiner. But this is not the Isaac Kleiner model, the bald model with glasses. This is the Einstein model, as it's affectionately named in the game resources. And also, the one who helps you out later is this fellow here.
Able to get the beverage machine to work yet? Stop asking that question.
But it was the other guy who sent me up. So, or maybe that works out. You know, I'm thinking of the Black Mesa mod, which switched their roles and made this guy, and made this guy Kleiner with the proper face and everything. We could play that one too sometime. Black Mesa, wonderful mod. Not mod, sorry. It's a complete game. For sale on Steam. You can also get it as a mod for the Source SDK, and you can play it for free, but
we'll be deviating a bit from standard analysis procedures today, Gordon.
the retail version is better.
Yes, but with good reason. This is a rare opportunity for us. This is the purest sample we've seen yet.
And, potentially, the most unstable.
Now, if you follow standard insertion procedures, everything will be fine.
I don't know how you can say that, although I will admit that the possibility of a resonance cascade scenario is extremely unlikely.
Gordon doesn't need to hear all this. He's a highly trained professional. We've assured the administrator that nothing will go wrong.
Yes, you're right. Gordon, we have complete confidence in you.
Well, go ahead. Let's let him in
You guys
now.
are setting me up to push a button and then pin all this disaster on my head. In both this game and the sequel to come. Always wondered how those things float in the air, those little pod generator things.
Everything seems to be in order.
That.
All right,
That.
Gordon, your suit
That.
should keep you comfortable through all this.
They're just floating up there.
Delivered to you in a few moments. If you would be so good as to climb up and start the rotors, we can bring the anti-mass spectrometer to 80% and hold it there until the carrier arrives.
Once I push this button, millions will die as a result. But I'm just following orders, so. Quite an iconic room. And textures aren't even matched up, really. Perfectly.
Very good. We'll take it from here.
Power to stage 1
But hey,
emitters in
at 640 by 480 resolution, back then with a Voodoo graphics card, this looked amazing.
predictable phase arrays.
I tried to play with Voodoo graphics, 3FX graphics, with the N-Glide
Stage 2
plugin, or
emitters
driver,
activating.
which is kind of a 3DFX wrapper for OpenGL, but it didn't work,
Gordon, we cannot predict how long
which made me sad,
we can operate at this
because
level.
I like 3DFX much better than standard OpenGL, at least for these old games. 3DFX really was ahead of its time, and then NVIDIA bought out 3DFX, and then they just canned the whole line. They didn't know what they had. It was amazing technology. It doesn't matter now, because we're so far beyond that, but at the time, that was a sore loss, in my opinion.
It's well within acceptable bounds again.
Yeah, well within acceptable bounds. We don't need to worry about it.
I've just been informed that the sample is ready, Gordon.
And what's gonna happen? Right? Nothing's gonna happen.
For your specimen.
You can just push it, or you can do this trick where you hold, use, and then push forward and just send it flying.
Get away from the shut it down. Shut down. It's not shutting down. It's not.
Oh, there goes the control room. This was an incredible scene back in the day. First shooter ever to do something like this with such strong narrative and cinematic quality. And all without cutscenes. You play every moment. This is a freaky moment. Just back away slowly. Unforeseen consequences. Wait for that door to open, or you will be crushed. There we go. Jump scare! The Duke Nukem 3D in me wants to throw pipe bombs at these walls to reveal secrets.
Why didn't they listen? We tried to warn them.
I never thought I'd see a resonance cascade, let alone create one.
Gordon, you're alive. Thank God for that hazard suit. I'm afraid to move him and all our phones are out. Please, get to the surface as soon as you can and let someone know we're stranded down here. You'll need me to activate the retinal scanners. I'm sure the rest of the science team will gladly help you.
Let's do it.
I certainly hope you know what you're doing.
Showing you what's to come. You have to fight these things. Fantastic world building. Sorry, not word building. Fantastic world building. Building things up. Great sense of pacing this game had. Boom. Those loading screens, I said this in Uplink too. Took at least a good 30, 45, 60 seconds. And when Half-Life 2 first came out, the loading times were even longer. It killed the pacing. I remember it vividly being frustrated with how long the loading times were. Little details. Your first weapon, the iconic crowbar. Now, I can push this button or break this glass. Does not matter. This event still happens. Adds to the horror. You just caused the deaths of 3 scientists. Lots of just elements of scaring the player. Half-Life 2 became a little more action-oriented, which was fantastic. It was a great game. But this game had a little bit more horror element to it, scary element. I know Half-Life 2 had the Ravenholm sequence, which was great. But as it went on with the episodes, it just seemed to focus more on action and puzzles. I remember Gabe Newell saying at some point Half-Life 3 wanted to get back to scaring the player as opposed to what it had been doing, which I think could have been cool to see what they could have done with it. Of course they can't now, you know, because they canceled Half-Life Episode 3. Half-Life 2 Episode 3.
Whoa, that was close.
Let's continue on. Great music. Really love the music. Kelly Bailey did a fantastic job with the series. Ammo. I don't have a gun yet, but I will. And for some reason, this reappears. So I'll pick it up again. Get even more power on my suit. Continuing on. Go back the way we came. Can't go that way, even though we know we're supposed to. Uh-oh. He didn't follow me. This is cool. Even though you,
Okay, we might live longer if we work together.
even though you load through different levels. Come on. If you go back to the area you used to be, everything that you did is still there. Every dropped weapon, every dead alien, every dead or living helpful character. Still there. You know, oh, get him! Get him! Get him! There you go. Come on! What's going on here? If you move just the wrong way, that explosion kills you for some reason. I think it's a glitch. Oh, good. I have to go back and get him.
Roger that. Let's run like hell.
Indeed. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
You go on without.
Okay, you stay here. Now, this won't open. This won't work. So, it's a little secret. You gotta destroy the computer console there, and then you can come in here.
No! Stay back! Gordon!
Caused another death. But there's some ammo here. So that's not the way out. Again! Now I gotta go get him again. Okay, I'll save next time.
Okay,
Come on.
Why not? Didn't want to die alone anyway.
I'd like to do that again just to get the,
Yeah, I'll wait.
Elevator.
because I'm a sucker for triggering. Oh my goodness, can't talk. Just because I'm a sucker for triggering. Just because I'm a sucker for triggering scripted sequences. There, I can say it. Okay, save. Because this game dumb. Yep, dumb. Goodness gracious. There we go. First blood. Alien drew first blood. Actually, I guess technically Barney did. Barney security guard. Get him! Oh, he did it. No, he didn't. This is like one of those movies, those freaky movies where, you know, all this stuff is happening all around you, except you get to play it. You get to go into the world and live it. And he's being transformed. I'll spare him. Look, you can see the skull. That's chewing his face and his skull right up to control his, just to get at his brain, to control his limbs. That guy is dead in there. That's just horrifying. Oh, come on, come on. But he fought valiantly. And that is first episode of Half-Life 1. I mean, the first episode of my playthrough videos, not the first episode. Thanks for watching. See you next time.